Hey, Will King here, and today on the Build Show, we're not on the job site, we're in the studio, and I want to talk to you about money, and more specifically, free money when it comes to credit cards. There's one thing that I wish I would have known when I was a new builder was how to utilize credit cards to put myself in a better position every month for me and my family. Credit cards are not a foreign thing to anybody watching this video. We've all had our fair share of credit cards, and it's something that, depending on how you were raised, you may have been taught to avoid them at all cost or to use them to your benefit. But as a builder and running a construction company, there's a lot of money coming in and coming out on a daily basis. I'm amazed constantly at how much money we bring in every month, and then even more amazed at how much money that we have to pay out every month to vendors and subcontractors and that kind of thing, employees, and fuel and overhead and all the things. But what I want to talk about today is that when you're running a company and I guess taking a look at the financials that you're currently operating with and how you can use a credit card to really put more money in your pocket. So let's talk about this first. Most credit cards are going to be somewhere between 1%, 1.5% rewards or cash back. Now, I will say this, there's credit cards out there that people get lured into for things like Sky Miles and airline tickets and that kind of thing. And I'm yet to see any of those that really make sense. When you talk about the cash value of things versus the value that you're getting as Sky Miles, it's really not even any comparison. You're better off to get a credit card with a cash reward and then just buy those airline tickets on whichever airline you need when you need them. Because if you get backed into a corner with one specific, say, Delta card, then you can only use those points for Delta tickets. Well, and depending on where you're going in the country, that may not work for you. So I started off with I believe it was a Chase card, and we actually still have that active in our company, but we're have definitely gone away from using it as much in the last few years. I started off with that card at like a 1.5% cash back. And so now let me talk about cash back real fast. So you either get that in form of points or you get that in form of actual cash. Now, if you get the points, you can redeem it for a statement credit every month on your credit card. Or if you're getting actual cash, they may even deposit it into a separate checking account for you. So I've had both, and I want to talk to you about both. So we started off with the Chase card, and that card does give you points, and then you can redeem those points for a statement credit whenever you feel like doing so. So let's take your standard framing package. I think that's a big number that everybody that's a builder is going to be familiar with is buying a framing package. So let's just say your standard framing package. Let's just use $100,000 as a average, or some are going to be way more than that, some are going to be less than that, depending on what you're building. But for the sake of good whole numbers, let's just use $100,000. So if you have a $100,000 frame package and you put it on your Chase card and you get a 1.5% cash back, so multiply that times 0.015 and you get $1,500 back of free money. Now, I'm saying free because it's not taxable. Now, let me say this. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I'm certainly not a tax attorney. But I can tell you in my experience, it is viewed as a discount, not as income. And so it's not something that you necessarily have to pay income tax on. But I will tell you this, check with your accountant, check with your CPA, check with everybody else other than me to determine how you need to do that for your own personal situation. All right, so we're at $1,500 for that framing package, and let's say you bought that in a month. But let's just pretend like you can do $100,000 every month for the rest of the year. So you take that $1,500 times 12, and that puts you at $18,000 of tax-free money in your pocket that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Now, I will say that some lumber suppliers may not take credit cards. And that's something that you're, as a builder, you're going to have to negotiate. You either can find a different vendor or at least threaten that, or just talk to your vendor and work it out to where instead of maybe a rebate somewhere else or another discount somewhere else, they give it to you in terms of a credit card payment. You do want to make sure that your customer isn't paying for that, though. So if they're getting charged whatever it is, 3% or 1.5 from the credit card company, you want to make sure that they are absorbing that and not you, because it's not fair to pass that on to your customer. So if you could do $100,000 a month, which is not unreasonable for most construction companies, $18,000. But even if it's half of that and you do 50 grand a month, that's still $9,000 of free money. Now, I will say in the last few years, I figured out another way to do this to maximize it. So then this is what I have literally told everybody that calls and asks me about this topic. I tell them how to do this. So Bank of America, which, by the way, this is not a sponsored video by any of these guys at all, but Bank of America or Merrill Lynch, they're one of the same now. You can get a Bank of America, I think it's Preferred Cash Rewards credit card. Now, there are some requirements. You have to have some money in an account, or a retirement account, a cash management account, whatever it might be, in their bank. But once you have that, you qualify for a 2.6% return or 2.6% cash back credit card. And that's been a big game changer for us. So let's take that same $100,000 framing package that we were using as an example, and let's plug that into 2.6%, okay? And that is going to get us $2,600 a month. So we went from $1,500 to $2,600 just by swapping credit cards. And if you do that every month times 12 months, that's $31,000 in credit card points. Now, if you could do that every month, you'd be making more money in credit card points than I did as a new firefighter 13, 14 years ago. So that's a substantial amount of money. And I think that so many builders don't know that little trick. They've been scared to get into debt. They've been scared of credit cards. They've been just hesitant to take that plunge. I will say you have to pay it off every month. You always have to pay it off weekly or even sometimes daily, depending on how much money you're putting on that card and how much your limit is. But the key part is you don't want to pay interest on it. You want to make sure you pay that card off every single month, because that's how you're going to get the biggest reward. Now, obviously, this is something that you want to handle very responsibly. Don't let this get you into trouble and think that you have extra money to blow every month or to spend on things that you can't afford. But talk to your accountant, talk to your bookkeepers, figure out if this is a good option for you, and talk through how you can use that inside your company. Pay it off every month. Don't pay interest on it. Take advantage of these rewards that they offer. And another thing too, when you're putting this kind of money on a credit card and paying it off all the time, it's really going to help drive your credit up as a personal credit score, also as a business credit score if you have your entity set up on the credit card account. So I hope you learned a little bit today about credit cards and how you as a builder can really take advantage of those and put money back in your pocket. If you're not already following me on Instagram, please go do so. It's at Will King Builds. And just remember, iron sharpens iron, so keep grinding, keep watching these videos, and we'll see you right here on The Build Show.